YouTube. Today we're making a silica gel handbag on steroids. This is the same fabric used for making face masks and dust covers. You can download this PDF file from my blog. All the measurements will be there, just print it out in A4 size. It will help you in tracing the letters onto the bag. So this big piece is the front and the back of the bag. We're going to iron the 4 sides before top stitching them to make it look like the sealed edges of a silica package. So start by sewing from the inside of the fold. When you get to the bottom, lift the sewing feet and swivel the fabric around. To get uniform rows, use the stitch line as a guide and just keep doing that until you reach the edges. Next, we will tape down the fabric and trace out the letters with a Sharpie. I find that it helps to kind of pull the fabric taut when filling in the letters. I'm using a regular size Sharpie, so to get the crisp lines to happen, I outline from the thicker part of the letter and kind of go lightly when I reach the thinner lines. This area have 3 layers of fabric, so you will have to trace it light box style. I use my coffee table with a lamp shining underneath. At first, I was going to use iron-on interfacing to give the back body. So you have to use very low heat when you do this because this fabric melts very easily. It came out a bit too stiff and I didn't like the way it looked. You see the holes that I melted, and I was going to add a zipper to it, but I think it will make the shape weird. So I peeled off the interfacing and thought of a way to add foam balls inside, just like the real thing. So I cut out 3 pieces of lining in the same size. So this first piece goes here. And the second piece will make up the bag to put the styrofoam balls in, and this will be the actual lining of the bag. So I pinned the first piece onto the front piece, and I'm going to sew on the D-rings. So the fabric is very thin. I thought I should add like maybe a couple more layers so that when I put the strap on, it won't rip the bag. It's a pretty small bag actually, so you can like put cell phone, your keys, and maybe some money inside, and that's about it. The strap's location will be like that, and don't forget to melt the ends of the webbing or else they will fray. Okay, so I already sewed on the rings onto the bag, and I'm going to cover this part up so it looks neat. So just sew a rectangle around it. Okay, this is the second piece of lining that will form the bag to put the styrofoam balls in. So just put it directly on top of the first lining and pin them in place. So you will need to leave a hole to put the styrofoams inside. So you will end up with a hole that looks like this. We're not going to fill it in yet. We have to sew the lining onto the bag first. Double fold the short ends and sew them first before placing them on top of the bag. Okay, now you have all 3 layers on top, and I'm going to sew up the sides. I installed a magnetic clip and it ripped off when I tried to use it because the fabric was too thin. But here's how I fill up the bag. You need about this much, and the more you fill up, the smaller the inside of your bag will become, so don't overdo it. You have to close that hole by hand stitching it. You should also hand stitch the lining part onto the bag. To fix the magnetic clip, I installed it onto a piece of felt, and then I just sew it onto the bag. So here's the hole that it tore off. So you just sew the whole piece of felt with, what do you call that stitch? Blanket stitch, just running blanket stitch, I think. Yeah. And that's how I make the bag. Thanks for watching.